Tim Whetstone is the Liberal member for Chaffey. Great to have you with us here on Flow.
Yeah, great to be with you, Ricky.
First of all, we had this storm event that happened a short while ago, and farmers still picking up the pieces, excuse the pun, but just working through, getting the funding support they need to repair their vineyards or their orchards.
Yes, well, look, it is good to see that the disaster recovery grants have been made available to those primary producers that have been impacted by storms. The $10,000 is there to go somewhat towards the clean-up, and albeit that there is significant damage. I think estimates are in the vicinity of $350 million across the state, that initial storm has impacted large primary producing areas of our state. Sadly, the Riverland encountered the second storm, and that really did hurt a sector that wasn't impacted previously the week earlier with that first hail and windstorm that really did decimate some of our crops.
And so where's the best sort of port of call of those that maybe haven't thought about what they might be able to claim on this front? Is it PIRSA? Where's the best information available?
Yes, I guess for more information, it's www.pir.sa.gov.au, and then it's /storms. And I'd ask all of your listeners that were impacted by the storms, please don't self-assess. The best way to go forward is to contact PIRSA. They will come out, assess the damage, and if they are eligible for that recovery grant, then it'll see us, be the beneficiary, because the storms have really, they've hurt growers at a critical time, particularly the grain harvest. Many growers had their equipment out, ready to start the following week, and sadly, a lot of those crops were flattened to the ground.
This is in the Mallee in particular, I gather.
Yes, well, look, that storm, it sort of cut a strip through the Eyre Peninsula, the York Peninsula, sadly through the Adelaide Plains. We saw, Gawler impacted. We've seen Clare and Gilbert Valleys. Then it made its way, sadly, along the range, Gorders Line, some people might know it as. And then it did a left-hand turn and headed up into the Riverland. And it really did smash some of those horticulture crops, as well as the dryland farmers. And so that really has put a significant impact on the local economy, about $100 million in the Riverland in the first storm, and then we're estimating somewhere in the vicinity of 70 to 80 million with the second storm that really did decimate some of the vineyards. And that hail, it has no friends when it comes through, and it really it cuts everything to pieces. The long, the long range forecast for what that damage will be, that it looks as though it might have hurt some of the canes and some of the fruiting buds for next year. And so we'll have to just keep an eye on just what the impacts will be to some of those vineyard owners going forward.
Yep, so pir.sa.gov.au /storms is your sort of port of call if you want to get more information on that. Now, on the rising of Parliament, state Parliament's up for the state election. The legislative councillors have to go back in February, but you're off the hook, I guess, in terms of having to go to Adelaide for the sittings. It's been a fractious sitting for the Marshall Liberal government, where they've not controlled the numbers necessarily in the lower house, and there's been a few comments saying be careful what you wish for when it comes to independence. What's your view as a government MP in terms of what the challenge having an independent in your electorate?
Look, I think we have to deal with what we have. It's a democracy. Some of the my Liberal colleagues that got them caught up in some levels of controversy have decided to sit on the crossbench, and as an independent, they'll work their way through it. But I respect the independents as we have to, because politics is about a game of numbers, and as a government, as a minority government, those independent votes are very important to get legislation through, and making sure that we actually have a functioning Parliament, and I think it's really important that whether myself as a government member or siding up to an independent, because we need their vote. We need sensible decisions, sensible legislation passed, and that's exactly what's happened. But look, it has been quite a combative Parliament, I must say, and that's the nature of a minority government. That is the nature of a very finely balanced opposition, government and crossbench makeup of the Parliament here in South Australia.
Now, just as an MP with a border electorate across into Victoria, there's been some worries about whether the Omicron variant might see the borders maybe head towards closure or restrictions again. How important is cross-border trade in your electorate?
Oh, extremely important. I have... there are a number of people that live in the Riverland and either work in Victoria or New South Wales. And we have people that live just over the border, and as an example, Lindsay Point, which is it's a small community, but a very important horticulture community, and people commute daily, whether they live at Lindsay Point or they live at Renmark or Paringa, and so that has impacted. But the 70-kilometre bubble has given us some level of certainty. But as you've said, borders are forecast to have the rules and regulations tightened on them. And at the moment, we're just living with a level of uncertainty, and that has really got people grumpy. It's got people living just not knowing what it's going to mean if borders do tighten or close. For people's freedom to travel, for their family and friends to come backwards and forwards. And so, as you've said, it is a level of uncertainty. It is disrupting our day-to-day lives. Particularly leading up to Christmas, because we all like to have family and friends going both ways over the border, and at the moment we're just not sure whether those borders will be open.
Well, something that's gushing over the border at the moment is water. The river is in a pretty good state of health for this current water year.
Yeah, it is, and it's pleasing to see that we are the beneficiaries of significant rain events up in the headwaters in the upper northern catchments. We look at Dartmouth is looking very healthy at the moment. I think over 90% capacity. We look at Hume is almost at full capacity. The Menindee Lakes are at 110%, and the tributaries are all looking extremely, healthy. They're full. A lot of the on-farm storage dams are all pretty much at capacity, and so here in the Riverland, we've got about 30,000 megalitres a day coming through the region. Not only is that watering our wetlands and floodplains, but for the first time in history, we're seeing both Chowla, Pike and Cataratco wetlands all being watered simultaneously, and that is the first time in history that has happened. With all the new regulators and the new infrastructure that's been put in place, and it's somewhere in the vicinity of between $85 and $90 million has been put into place. That is taxpayers' money has been put there to try and regulate some of the flows coming into our area, and the benefits will be a healthy environment, but just as importantly for our visitors that are coming to the Riverland, yabbies are on the go. So anyone that's coming up this way, Ricky, they need to bring their yabby nets with them and make sure they get themselves a feed of yabbies, because it's a unique, crustacean here in the river, but it's also one of the delicacies when we come to the Riverland and get a feed of yabbies.
Yeah, they go pretty well with a seafood sauce as well, the yabbies. Some good news about how the river's running.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And look, it is really pleasing to see that the Murray-Darling Basin Plan is part of these the way that these flows are being managed. It's great to see that we've had good rain up in the northern catchment, but it's really good to see that what we're seeing at the minute is environmental flows. We're seeing the environment, benefiting, and the river is looking really good with those flows. And as we all look for to the skies at this time of the year with those summer rains, It does give a bit of flood event up in that northern catchment area, but down here in the south, we are the beneficiaries of it, and we'll take it any day.
Now, those water levels and flooding you mentioned, have the boffins haven't sent anything out that I've noticed, but are locals talking about the possibility of a sort of 90s level flood event?
Well, look, some of the older historians that have been around a while, they say that what we're seeing at the minute is a bit of a build-up, just like it was back in 1955. Lots of rain events, and what it means is that the catchment is wet, and so every time we have a rain event, the water flows. It doesn't just soak away in some of that black country, which has big cracks in it, and the water just runs down the cracks. All those cracks are closed up. All of the floodplains and the catchment areas are all wet, and so as I've said, every time it rains, it runs into the rivers and the creeks. Then it's caught, and then it flows on down south. So normally it's about a 6 to 7 week turnaround from headwaters when it rains until it reaches here in the Riverland. So we've seen recent rain events that continue, and I think we'll see some of that high flow and some of the high rivers for the next couple of months at least.
Well, we do love sharing positive news here on Flow FM, and that certainly is some positive news, but nothing's much more positive than Christmas. What are your plans for Christmas, and a message for your electors this coming Christmas season?
Yes, well, look, thank you for the opportunity, and I ask everyone to please, enjoy Christmas, enjoy your family. We are living in uncertain times with the pandemic, but I would like to think that we would, if we're on the road, please travel safely. Just enjoy the family, community time together, and I would also like to wish everyone the happy Christmas, but also a prosperous New Year. And as we deal with these new variants through the pandemic, we deal with the restrictions. We just need to have a little bit of downtime and enjoy the time. And as we say in the Riverland, just stop and smell the roses. Please enjoy the Christmas break. But get ready for the new year, because I've got that feeling that we've got good river flows, we've got a strong economy here in South Australia, and when we get to the other side of Christmas and New Year, I'm looking for a prosperous and a good economic builder on what is a great opportunity, because we have dealt with COVID very well here in South Australia. Our economy is strong. I think what we're seeing now is that people are starting to understand what restrictions are, and Christmas is a good time to reflect.
Tim Whetstone, member for Chaffey, thank you for joining us today on Flow. Much appreciated.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas to you, Ricky.